Okay. Well, good afternoon or good morning or whatever it may be. Sorry I couldn't be with you guys today, but had other stuff needed to tackle. So we're just going to go through this really quickly and get this knocked out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually plug your Class Connect checkpoint questions into the video you're watching, which you'll see here in just a minute. But first off, think about this for just a minute. What defines a culture? What is a culture? Are they all the same? Are they different? What things do we look at with that? So just kind of keep that in mind as we talk through the rest of these slides. Okay, so remember, you're watching this video instead of your class for Wednesday. Okay, and it'll be posted in Kmail as well as course announcements. I will be gone when prom is coming up on Friday, May 6th. So not this weekend, but the following at the state capitol. So there's all the information you need on that. And, if you need to pause the recording to get information or those website links, go right ahead. Just remember to start her back up. Okay. Deadlines, May 22nd. Everything is due. No exceptions. Finals week is the 23rd through the 27th. You don't have a final in this class, and teachers are going to be out of the office on the 26th and 27th for training. Okay, and then the end of the school, May 27th, 5 p.m. No exceptions, no extensions, nada after 5 p.m. That is it for this school year, and we are done until next year. Okay, so you guys already know you should be working in your course, should be to at least on 3.04. Remember, the test is actually not due till Monday because I give you a study day in before that, so it will be due on Monday the 2nd. But if you want to take it before then, great. Just remember to do your best, take your time, and take a shot at the short answer questions. So, obviously, because of how we're doing this, just want you to think, how strong is the force with you right now in regards to this objective? So students will be able to explain the factors that make up and influence the culture of Latin America and the Caribbean. Okay, how comfortable do you feel with that? Culture, the factors, that type of thing. I mean, there's a lot to learn because we've got a lot of countries, a lot of different cultures, especially as we get out into those islands of the Caribbean. So just really quickly, rate yourself on our scale, and then we can move right along. Skipped on me. So we talk about the fact that we have all of these countries, that are in Latin America, the Caribbean, that type of thing. Central America, like we talked about last time, covers, Guatemala, Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Panama. Not necessarily in the order that I pointed to them in. So there's all these different countries and things that definitely apply to this culture. But when we talk about this culture, we also can kind of expand it into Mexico because there's a lot of overlap. Some of our South American stuff comes up north. There's this thing that we call cultural diffusion, and we'll talk about that more in just a minute. But a lot of these countries in this region were settled by the Spanish. So they have a lot of influence on Spanish culture in religion, in food, in language, all of those things. Okay, so like we mentioned, we've got the Spanish culture, that had a big influence. So Christianity, Spanish language, big in this region. You see a lot of it. You see a lot of Catholic churches, although there are other churches down there influencing that. Now, in the Caribbean, we get a little bit different. So they had what they call indigenous or native languages that the different people on the different islands spoke. We saw the same thing among, say, the Aztecs and the Mayas and the Olmecs, like we talked about last time. But what happened is these European colonies came in and took over, forcing the people to learn the language or to learn uh, the culture, that type of thing, forcing them to assimilate. Now, over time, as these different cultures came in and affected different areas, we see this factor that we call cultural diffusion. Now, cultural diffusion is basically just like it says, it's the diffusion of culture. It says culture spread out throughout the region and bits and pieces of it overlap. We see this here locally. Okay, so cultural diffusion. What kind of foods are available as you go out in the community? Is it all just, what's traditionally American, hamburgers and hot dogs? Or do you have other cultural type foods in there that people prepare and eat and that you enjoy? I mean, where do we come up with things like, say, the taco and the burrito and, things like that? It's through this cultural diffusion. And language has kind of come the same way and had a lot of overlap with that as well. Okay, now we talked about this a little bit last time, but as we get down into Central America, we start seeing these ruins and all these other things going on, especially as we get down to Cancun, the Yucatan Peninsula, okay, in northern Guatemala. Okay, this culture spread throughout a large section of Central America. This area that we know as Mesoamerica, and originally is what we where these Indian tribes were, and then the Spanish came in and took over. We still see the ruins there. There's still remnants of the culture, but it's not as prolific as it used to be. Okay, so France came in and took over Haiti. Okay, Haiti's kind of one of the anomalies or differences in the Caribbean. There's a lot of Spanish influence. There's bits and pieces of other influence, but Haiti is kind of its own thing. So they came in and colonized it and left kind of a legacy, and it's kind of an interesting legacy. We're not going to take the time to really dive into it, but you'll see a lot of cultural differences in this area, and a lot of overlap, cultural diffusion, especially with the French language. Now, on that same note, Haiti is a very poor country. Okay, you see pictures of it. People are living in tent cities. They have a natural disaster, and it's all a mess. Now, interestingly enough, the other side of that island is the Dominican Republic, which is a Spanish-speaking country, and Hispaniola is actually the island that Columbus supposedly discovered when he discovered America. Okay, and then we come into the culture and the music of the area. Now, especially in the Caribbean, we see a lot of what we call calypso music. Okay, and I'm going to have you watch a video clip of this here really quick. But roots started in Africa, kind of modernized it, twisted it, adjusted it to meet the culture, especially in the Caribbean. Now, that's not to say they don't have music and stuff in Central America, but it's just doesn't quite stick out as much in that area. So calypso music uses a lot of steel drums, which you'll hear in just a minute, as well as guitars, that type of thing. I mean, if you've ever heard of, say, Harry Belafonte, or if you've ever watched Disney's The Little Mermaid, you've heard calypso music before. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We'll let you hear a little bit of that, and then we will call it good for today. Remember to keep up with the homework stuff. Everything Unit 1, Unit 2 should be done. Should be almost done with Unit 3, and then we have 4 and 5, and we're done.